You can see the big sunspot, and what's amazing to me is that the sunspot in the back is two sunspots at this time, not just one.
And how are we planning on mapping them?
Put the slits here. And
Don and Pedro Sada are magnetic map makers. It's a tough job. The landscape and the sunspots keep shifting.
Sunspots are places where the magnetic field is very strong and the activity on the solar surface is very strong. And we want to study the structure of the magnetic fields in the region of the sunspots and also see how it changes from hour to hour or day to day.
To study the hottest body in the solar system, they must go to the other extreme of temperature.
We have to fill our instrument with liquid helium and liquid nitrogen because there's a sensor inside the instrument that needs to be kept just a few degrees above absolute zero in order to operate properly. What you see is some of the helium coming out and causing water vapor to form in the air.
But it's not just smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of serious science going on here. Don and Pedro can't measure the sun's magnetism directly, but they can see its effects. The frozen sensor will be looking at infrared radiation from the sun and measuring minute variation in its color.
And now you're ready to go.
Don, do you want to put the filters in while I put the pinhole in place?
Okay.
Strong magnetic fields alter the color of some of the light from the sun. Don and Pedro know what the color should be, and by seeing how much it has changed, they can map out the strength of the magnetism around a sunspot.
Okay, Don, I'm going to focus the camera so we can see the sunspot better. Okay, go ahead.
They've built up a picture of how the magnetism behaves around sunspots.
The magnetic field coming out of that sunspot is almost like a fountain. It comes up out of the center, very concentrated, and spreads out. And usually sunspots come in pairs or maybe more. And the magnetic field will come out of one sunspot, maybe north pole, like on a magnet, and go into the other sunspot that would be south pole.
The sun's plasma traces out the magnetic field lines between north and south poles. When the sun becomes more active, the magnetism is more complex. Then, the surface is turned into a carpet of magnetic turmoil. That's what causes even more sunspots to break out. The sunspots look dark because they're cooler than the rest of the sun. Spots form where the magnetism is strongest. The invisible force field diverts the rising heat away from those parts of the surface and makes them cooler.
If you could stand in the center of a sunspot, you would see that it is slightly depressed. It looks sort of like a dish shape.